Good evening, this is Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. The DMK is doubling down on the controversial comments made by its heir apparent, Udhayanidhi Stalin. Today, his father and the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin, defended his son's comments by saying that he was simply referring to the caste system and he was not trying to insult anyone's faith or religion. But one of his trusted lieutenants, A. Raja, former minister and member of parliament, has taken this whole criticism of Sanatan Dharma to another level by saying that Sanatan Dharma is like HIV or leprosy and that Udhayanidhi was actually being mild in his criticism of Sanatan Dharma. The point and the question that everybody is asking is, why is the DMK and senior leaders at that, Udhayanidhi Stalin, the heir apparent, A. Raja, who's a very close confidant of M.K. Stalin, why are they hell-bent on insulting Hindus and Hinduism?
என்மையாகத்தான் சொன்னார். மலேரியா போல டெங்கு போல ஒழிக்க வேண்டும் என்று. மலேரியாவுக்கும் டெங்குக்கும் சோசியல் ஸ்டிக்மா இல்லை. அது ஒரு அருவருப்பா சமூகம் பார்க்காது. எங்களை பொறுத்தவரை HIV தொழுநோயை போல HIV போல சமூக அவலம் நிறைந்த ஒரு நோயாகத்தான் நாம் பார்க்கிறோம்.
हम बहुत स्पष्ट तौर पे ये कह चुके हैं और फिर से दोहरा रहे हैं, इस तरह की टिप्पणियों के हम साथ नहीं हैं।
मजहब के एतबार से जो उनकी पॉलिसी है या जो उनका धर्म है तो वो जाने, उसमें हम कोई दखल ना मैं देता हूँ न दूंगा।
हम भी सनातन धर्म को मानते हैं और किसी को भी किसी भी धर्म के बारे बोलने से बचना चाहिए।
देश में लगभग 90 करोड़ हिंदू रहते हैं, उनकी आस्था है, आप उनके आस्था को ठेस नहीं पहुंचा सकते। देश को विनाश के पथ पे ले जाने के लिए, सनातन धर्म को नष्ट करने के लिए, भ्रष्टाचार व्यापक करने के लिए, तुष्टीकरण व्यापक करने के लिए, यही इनका असली चेहरा है।
इतने लंबे काल में मुगल सल्तनत तो न हिंदू आस्था को हिला सकी न सनातन को कमजोर कर सकी। सैकड़ों वर्षों के ब्रिटिश शासन ने भी हिंदू आस्था को कोई चोट नहीं पहुंचाई।
Mention Sanatana Dharma, which essentially itself practices discrimination. That is why your movement is founded. Sir, I would like to take back you to two eminent leaders who were born out of your movements. One is the great leader from the scheduled caste community, Mr. M.C. Raja.
It seems like Udhayanidhi Stalin is just a part of this problem. A series of opposition leaders, many of them from the Congress, who seem to be hell-bent on fueling this anti-Hindu sentiment or anti-Hindu storm. Now, this is what Udhayanidhi said, that Sanatan Dharma is like malaria or dengue and that you cannot oppose it, you cannot just stand and protest against it, you have to eradicate it. A. Raja has gone a step further and he said that Sanatan Dharma is not just like dengue, cholera, malaria, it's actually as disgusting as HIV or leprosy. You have the former Deputy Chief Minister of the Congress of Karnataka, Mr. G. Parameshwara, saying that Hindu Dharma's origins are not known. You know the origins of Islam, you know the origins of Christianity, you know the origins of Buddhism and Jainism, but origins of Hinduism are not known. Also, Siddaramaiah, the Chief Minister of Karnataka, saying that some temples practice discrimination, which includes removing your shirt when you go into those temples in a way to see if you have the Janeyu or the sacred Brahmin thread. Priyank Kharge, Minister in the Karnataka government, also happens to be the son of the Congress president, saying that Sanatan Dharma spreads division and that any religion that does not give basic dignity to individuals cannot be befitting of a religion. D. Raja of the CPI saying that we must fight Sanatan Dharma. Again, backing Udhayanidhi Stalin. Karti Chidambaram has also backed him, saying that Sanatan is simply a code for the caste curse. So everybody in the south, Congress leaders, left, etc., are all using the phrase Sanatan to mean that it is actually the caste system or the caste curse, as Karti Chidambaram put it. But amid this entire controversy, the DMK is still backing Chief Minister M.K. Stalin's son. In fact, Chief Minister Stalin today came out and he's written a letter to the Prime Minister where he has said that the BJP is not concerned about discriminatory practices, about caste discriminatory practices. Also goes on to say that Udhayanidhi never used the word genocide in any of the statements that he put out. He also said that the Prime Minister is spreading lies about Udhayanidhi. This is in reference to the Prime Minister telling BJP MPs and ministers to counter this whole narrative around Sanatan Dharma. He also goes on to say, M.K. Stalin, that what Sanatan denied, women, the DMK gave them. Right to representation, right to elect their own representatives, etc. Also goes on to say that we uplift the backward classes, the women and the poor. We operate under the motto of one clan, one God. The BJP's troll army is spreading lies, according to the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu. The India alliance rattles Prime Minister Modi, and that this is desperation to create a divide within the opposition, and that this is the political gimmick of the BJP and of Prime Minister Modi. Now, that's not all. We're also getting a word in from Tamil Nadu film star, popular superstar Kamal Haasan, who has come out and tweeted just moments ago that the hallmark of a true democracy, it's its ability to try and get citizens to disagree but engage in continued discussion. History has repeatedly shown and taught us that asking the right questions has led to important answers and contributed to our development as a society. He also goes on to say that Udhayanidhi Stalin is entitled to his views on Sanatana. If you disagree with his viewpoint, it is important to engage in a discussion based on merits instead of resorting to threats of violence, legal intimidation tactics, or simply distorting his words to evoke emotional responses. So, that is Kamal Haasan on this entire Sanatan Dharma debate. Let me now bring in Mugilan, who is joining us on the phone line. Mugilan, so Kamal Haasan, while on the one hand saying that not exactly defending the comments of Udhayanidhi Stalin, you're free to disagree with the comments, but there has to be a space in Tamil Nadu, a plural society, to have these debates, to have disagreements, so that society itself moves into something better. Is he backing Udhayanidhi, or is he just taking a middle of the road stand?
Definitely now we are seeing Kamal Haasan, the founder of Makkal Nidhi Mayam, coming in support of Udhayanidhi, because in Tamil Nadu we have seen, apart from DMK and BJP, there are several political parties in support of Udhayanidhi, and recently we are even seeing the cinema stars and national award winning directors coming in support of Udhayanidhi for his remarks against caste discrimination. And now Kamal Haasan has tweeted and he has said that Udhayanidhi is entitled to his views on Sanatana, and if you disagree with his view, it is important to engage in a discussion based on merits of Sanatana, and taking a dig at the cases that has been filed against Udhayanidhi Stalin, and the several complaints that has been filed against him.
Okay.
He has stated that it is a legal intimidation tactics, and he has also stated that Tamil Nadu has always been a safe space for healthy debate. So yes, now we are seeing Kamal Haasan coming in support of Udhayanidhi, and as I said earlier, apart from ADMK and BJP, we are seeing in Tamil Nadu there are several parties supporting Udhayanidhi for his anti-caste discrimination remarks.
Okay, Mugilan, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us on the phone line. Let me now open this up to our panelists. Ajay Alok is national spokesperson of the BJP. A. Saravanan, spokesperson of the DMK. Dushyant Sridhar is a Vedic speaker. Suman C. Raman, political analyst. Let me start with A. Saravanan. Saravanan, you know, it's a simple question. If Udhayanidhi Stalin had said something which he felt was misconstrued or taken out of context and was not meant to offend anyone, then he could have clarified. What we have seen over the last 3 or 4 days is he is doubling down. He's being backed today by his father and the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, by other senior leaders of your party as well as other parties, your allies. Why would you want to be perceived as insulting one faith and a large number of practitioners of that faith in order to make a political point.
Yeah. See, has anybody called out the fake news? Did any of the channels, the Noida channels, popular Noida channels, called out the fake news peddled by Mr. Amit Malviya, which was parroted by none less the Home Minister and the Defence Minister, as though this is their full-time job, peddling fake news? Has anyone called that out? One, they are doubling down, and we had information, unconfirmed information, that the Prime Minister has instructed his cabinet colleagues that they should go and give a proper response, and Mr. Siddaramaiah, the Congress Chief Minister, has said what the Prime Minister has done is unconstitutional. The Prime Minister ought not to have done that. I know it will be unconfirmed because that is illegal. That is why none of the cabinet ministers have confirmed that, or the Prime Minister himself has come out and said, I have did this or I have not did this.
But Saranan,
this is how the BJP operates.
What about
fake
Saranan,
narratives,
one second,
fake
Saranan,
news.
Saranan, give me one second. What about what Udhayanidhi said? You don't think that is offensive at the least bit? The fact that he said that Sanatan Dharma is like malaria or dengue or cholera and it needs to be eradicated, you don't think is offensive to the practitioners of Sanatan Dharma?
Yeah. Yeah. See, Zaka, today, yesterday, Mr. Mohan Bhagwat has come out in the open and said 2000 years people were oppressed in the name of caste. So, if this has to be eradicated, we should continue with the reservations. This is not acceptable to us. Why has he said that yesterday? He should have simply said what Mr. Modi has said. Please, go all guns blazing, counter.
No, but Saranan,
This,
there is a very specific word.
Has he said that?
There is a very specific word in Tamil for caste. If Mr. Udhayanidhi, your leader, had said Jadi Olippu, everybody would have agreed with him. There was no problem with that. The fact that he didn't use that word, he never used the word Jadi at all in the speech that he made. He said Sanatanam Oliganam.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yes. Zaka, we are running a political party and we don't take lessons from anchors, or we don't take lessons from people
I am very
on
small
how to name
person.
what we should do.
I'm
Sanatana Dharma.
I'm no one to give you any lessons or instructions.
I know, Zaka.
Please go ahead.
I know.
Please go ahead, insult whoever you want to insult, please.
You know that, Zaka. You know that. You know that it's not against you. It's not against you.
Okay, go ahead.
You know that. See, that apart. Let's come to the issue on hand. Again, I would only go back and find out that this why have you not used? But can anybody deny the fact that Sanatana Dharma is propagating caste hierarchy, that it differentiates people based on their birth? Once you are born into a particular community or a caste, you cannot get out of that. Until death you are tied to that. Can anybody deny that Sanatana Dharma does not preach this?
Ajay Alok to respond.
They say, just a minute, let me finish this.
Let Ajay Alok respond.
10 seconds to me,
I've spent about 5 minutes with you,
10 seconds to me.
Let me go to the others also. Please, I beg your indulgence. Ajay Alok, what Mr. Saravanan, the DMK, and in fact various leaders of India Alliance, particularly from South India, are saying is what Mr. Udhayanidhi meant was simply a euphemism for caste. And today Saravanan is in fact linked it to what Mr. Mohan Bhagwat has also said, that there is a need for reservation. Why is there a need for reservation? The need for reservation is because there is a caste system, and that caste system has been oppressive to large sections of society. So they are using that argument. Please respond to that.
First of all, these two statements made by Mohan Bhagwat and Udhayanidhi Stalin, they don't have any relation at all. And Zaka, if you spend even 5 decades with DMK on this issue, you won't be able to understand them, because that's their mindset. Why I'm telling you? Because first of all, anyone sitting on the panel or your viewers listening, can you give me an explanation that a minister of a state, and that too a chief minister's son, can he participate, should he participate in some function called Sanatan Unmulan Karyakram? Tomorrow, if in any other state, a minister or for say matter from central government minister, if they start participating in functions like Islam Unmulan Karyakram, Isai Unmulan Karyakram, Christian eradication program, Islam eradication program, the same way it was Sanatan eradication program, where he compared the Sanatan Dharma with cholera, dengue and malaria, not to stop and not least to rub the salt on the wound. To say Mr. A Raja compared, he said it was a very mild comparison. Actually, Sanatan is like HIV. It's not like dengue and all. It's like HIV, it's like leprosy. So these are views which are regularly being strengthened by the DMK, and now they are taking pretext of caste. What Mohan Bhagwat said was reforms necessary in Hindu so that discrimination can be kept at bay, and that's why reservation is required. These two are two different things, North and South Pole.
Okay.
And now they are trying to take defense. See, the grand strategy is not of DMK. The grand strategy was prepared in Mumbai. That this how the polarization of Muslim is almost complete in Karnataka, Kerala, Telangana, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, whatever is left. The DMK will start from there. They want this polarization to happen in UP, Bihar, West Bengal, Jharkhand, everywhere. And yesterday only, from RJD, their state president came out, they said, जो तो तिलक लगाता है उन्होंने देश को गुलाम करवाया है. Now this tilak, this is a absolute religious feeling and a religious perception that when we offer our deities to the God and when we offer our prayers to the God, in respect of the God we use this tilak.
Okay.
And he says जो भी तिलक लगाते हैं वो देश को गुलाम बनाने में उन्हीं का हाथ है. So all this is a grand strategy, and the strategy's brain is Congress party.
Okay.
That's why Priyank Kharge's statement came. And remember, not the least, last 5 seconds. 15-20 days back, Mallikarjun Kharge, Congress president, said it in a public meeting कि मोदी अगर तीसरी बार आ जाएगा, if Modi comes third time, there will be Sanatan Dharma Raj. Now whose Raj they want? They want Islamic Raj? They want Christian Raj? What Raj they want? 80% Sanatani living in this country, 110 crores living in this country, and you don't want Sanatan Raj? What kind of a statement they are making? They are absolutely anti-Hindu mindset. There is no doubt about it. So, and instead of apologizing, they are constantly defending and fighting over it.
One second. I have to go to other guests also. Let me go. One second, Saranan, please. There are two other guests. Please.
Just one small clarification.
Yeah.
One small clarification.
10 seconds.
Sanatana Dharma is not Hinduism.
What clarification?
Yes.
Apologize.
Dharma is not Hinduism.
Apologize. There is no clarification.
Yes.
Apologize.
You apologize.
85% of Tamilian will teach you a lesson. 85% of Tamilian who are Hindus will teach you a lesson.
One second.
Towards the country.
Saranan, 1 second. If Sanatana Dharma, according to you, is not Hinduism or does not stand for Hinduism, then what does? So forget about that. Okay,
yes.
What then, according to you, is the meaning of Sanatana Dharma?
See, they have several meanings for Sanatana Dharma. That's what I told you. Nobody can deny the fact that caste discrimination is one of the pillars of Sanatana Dharma. That is why we keep...
You apologize or 85% will teach you.
One second. I am not asking what are the pillars, not pillars, etc. What if you say that he did not insult Hinduism, he only said against Sanatana Dharma, then what, according to you, is the difference between Hinduism and Sanatana Dharma? What is the definition of Sanatana Dharma according to you?
See, that's what Sanatana Dharma, as per what we are doing, we are following here. Sanatana Dharma is something which is practiced by some of the Hindus, which discriminates people on the basis. The text which the Sanatana Dharma relies on exclusively speaks about caste discrimination and assignment of duties as per where they were born.
One person was born.
This is what we are opposing.
This is your understanding. Let me ask. Fair enough. Let me ask Dushyant Sridhar, because I'm sure he has a completely different understanding of what Sanatana Dharma means. So, Dushyant Sridhar, the etymological reference, of course, Sanatan means eternal, Dharma means a set of laws, a set of rules, a set of guidances to live by. Please help our viewers understand what your understanding of Sanatan Dharma is and why you beg to differ with Saravanan's understanding or Udhayanidhi Stalin's understanding of what is Sanatana Dharma.
Namaskaram Zaka, namaskaram to all my fellow panelists and namaskaram to my viewers. I am keeping all the political ramifications and their testimonials away. I am just going to treat this as an academic debate, Zaka. Step 1. So, we recently had this controversy whether Bharat is right, the name Bharata is right or India is right. Etymologically, in our texts, both in Sanskritam and all the regional languages, this landmass has been referred to as Bharata. Nevertheless, when foreign accounts come, the accounts of Chinese of the 6th century and the accounts of the Middle East and the Greeks account come, then it is called Indica, Indu, India. So the name of this geographical landmass, as the people outside this landmass has known, is India, and what the people have known is Bharata within the country. Similarly, Hinduism is the name that people recognize outside the country, and within the text it is called Sanatana Dharma. I will give you 4 proofs. 1. In Kishkindha Kandam of Ramayanam, it is said, Tyaktva Dharmam Sanatanam. Those principles, Vali, Rama tells Vali, where you have had tried to have a relationship with your brother's wife, is not what Sanatana Dharma stands for. A brother should always treat his brother's wife as his own daughter or sister and not have a relationship. So this is Sanatana Dharma. So the word is Tyaktva Dharmam Sanatanam. In Mahabharata we have Krishnam Dharmam Sanatanam, where Krishna advocates practice your duties with full involvement in it. So he calls Krishnam Dharmam Sanatanam. Satyam Bruyat Priyam Bruyat. Shastram says, speak the truth which is pleasing to the masses. That is called Sanatana Dharmam. Bhagavatam says, treat your elders. When you treat people who are elderly to you, serve them, it is called Sanatana Dharma. So Sanatana Dharma stands for a set of values and principles through which a society becomes civilized and is guided. So Sanatana Dharma is the name referred in the text to this civilization. I will go one step further, Zaka. Even the Buddhist texts in Pali, Attihi Bhikko Akadayam, Nattuyetasya Jantuno Sattam, Manasa Sunnarattanam Sampajai, what I spoke is Pali. Even in Abhidhamma texts of Buddhism, Buddhism also states we are a part of Sanatana Dharma. So essentially Hinduism and Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, which have roots somewhere or the other to Hinduism, is grouped under one large umbrella called as Sanatana Dharma. Foreign accounts always called it Hinduism. So today we don't have a problem when we state Sanatana Dharma is equal to Hinduism. Like how Bharata is equal to India. That is why we say India, that is Bharat. So I don't understand how they have, on what basis they have taken Sanatana Dharma is equal to Varnashrama Dharma. I have given you quotations. I have given you which canto, which shloka. Now the person should state in this Ramayanam, Sanatana Dharma is equal to Varnashrama Dharma. This is the reference. I am asking in an academic way. I am not even getting politically. You should quote that Sanatana Dharma is equal to Varnashrama Dharma. This is what Ramayanam says. This is what Mahabharatam says. You have to quote.
I think it's a fair point. I think maybe the etymological reference was wrong. Clearly it was wrong. That Sanatana Dharma does not necessarily stand only and exclusively for the caste system. Yes, no one is disagreeing that there is an evil of caste system within the Hindu faith. But leave aside all of this. I'm not, interested in this etymological debate. I'm interested in the political part of it. And please let me ask Sumant Raman. I disagree that, Udhayanidhi made these off-the-cuff remarks or these were not well thought out. And the fact that him and his party are doubling down, and clearly if you look at social media, at least among the DMK-leaning voters, he seems to be getting a lot of support. I'm wanting to understand from you, what is the political thought process here? Because everyone in the DMK and that ecosystem, the left of center ecosystem in Tamil Nadu politics, seems to be backing him. What is he politically achieving by saying what he said and sticking to what he said? You have to unmute, Sumant. I can't hear you. Go ahead. Now I can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Zaka, first of all, we have to understand that this is not something new that the DMK has been saying. They've been saying it for 30-40 years that we want to uproot Sanatana Dharma. Why it now made national headlines is the thing that we need to ponder over, not why DMK is saying it now. They've always been saying it. And I remember, making the very same points that Dushyant was speaking about around 2 years ago, after having conversations with people like Dushyant and other experts, that this Sanatana Dharma was much more than the caste system. In fact, it was not the caste system, where Varnashrama Dharma was the caste system. But let's not get into that at all. The point is, why are they doubling down on it? Knowing full well that it will cause embarrassment to their alliance partners.
Exactly.
Now, that is the question that you need to ask. This is not going to damage the DMK. It is going to energize and fire up their base in Tamil Nadu. They are They get the overwhelming lot of minority votes in the state. So that's 15% solid vote share which the DMK gets in Tamil Nadu. And perhaps they believe that this will also appeal to the minorities in some form or the other, though I don't think that that's necessarily true. But this is not going to damage the DMK. If anything, it is going to benefit them in Tamil Nadu. Who it is going to damage is the Congress. They know it is going to damage the Congress and they are still doubling down on it, which makes me wonder whether there's something else going on behind the scenes.
Suman, one second. I don't think, first of all, I don't think the DMK's vote base in Tamil Nadu is just a minority vote base, because unlike, let's say, one second, let me just finish. Give me 10 seconds. I think the DMK's vote base is far more widespread than just, the Muslim or the Christian population in that state, which I don't think exceeds more than 10 or 12%.
Yes.
Is it also possible? Is it also possible, Suman, just 10 seconds for my question. Is it also possible that somewhere the DMK's political calculation is that the backward castes will rally around this statement because of whatever their lived experiences are, and be more importantly, and I think this is the political game perhaps that they're playing, that now Udhayanidhi becomes the leader. There is no doubt about it. The whole country is talking about him. The rest of outside of Tamil Nadu did not know who this gentleman was till last week.
Zaka, first of all, to clarify the point, the 2021 assembly election, the difference between the AIADMK vote share and the DMK vote share, alliance vote share, was around 3%. By your own admission, the minority vote share is 12%, which goes overwhelmingly to the DMK. So, which means that they are in power today because of the minority vote. And I'm not saying it. Our own speaker of the Tamil Nadu Assembly, Mr. Appavu, is on record telling a congregation of pastors and others that we are in power because of your vote. So I think that let's not kid ourselves. Yes, it is not only the minorities who vote for DMK. A sizable segment of the Hindu population also votes for the DMK is a fact. There is no doubt about it. But the difference between the DMK combined and the AIADMK combined today, AIADMK, BJP combined today in Tamil Nadu, is the minority vote. I'm not saying this is just to appeal to the minority vote. It may also be an attempt to woo the Dalit vote bank. The Dalit vote bank is about 18% in Tamil Nadu, which is highly fragmented. Yeah. So that it may be an attempt to woo the OBCs, very unlikely.
No, but Saranan, the point being that no one is accepting the comments made by Udhayanidhi Stalin, and not least your alliance partner, the Congress party, will face the brunt of this in the upcoming state assembly elections. Do you believe that this issue will not be, made into a huge talking point by the BJP in Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh? Already Congress leaders in those states, you've already seen what Kamal Haasan has said. He's completely distanced himself from those comments. Randeep Surjewala has distanced himself from those comments. Today, Jairam Ramesh had a press conference distancing the Congress party from those comments. Don't you think that the comments made by your leader are going to be possibly an irretrievable liability to your own alliance partner in North Indian states that are due for elections?
See, Zaka, this is not done with elections in mind. This is our ideology, and look who is supporting. Siddaramaiah ji is supporting us. Priyanka Kharge is supporting us. Whoever understands how this is perpetuated, they support this. And if it is going to be an embarrassment to the Congress, I don't think the RSS chief would have come out and said what he had said. The very fact that the chief RSS, 1 year back, what he said? He said reservations have to be revisited. This is what he said 1 year back, and suddenly what changes overnight? The statement of our leader, Mr. Udhayanidhi Stalin, that changes the equation, that ensures that they cannot discount. They cannot be perceived, this is the BJP which is playing this vote bank politics. I
know as a spokesperson, all spokespersons do this. They talk up their leader, and you are well within your right to talk up your leader. But one second, let me just put the facts on the table. Yes, it is right that Mr. Mohan Bhagwat had made some comments about reservation, not 1 year ago. He had made this, and Ajay Alok will know this because he's from that state. He had made some comments in the 2015 election cycle in Bihar, which he subsequently clarified, saying that is not what he meant.
No.
But anyway, fact is, you're partially right to the extent that even the BJP is an ardent supporter of reservation. right? Now, I'm asking.
Not at all.
No, I'm
I'll explain
asking
it to
you. No, I'm asking.
I'll explain it to you
no,
how
no,
it is
sir,
not.
Sir, I'm asking you that same reservation which Mohan Bhagwat supports and the BJP supports is basis this Sanatana Dharma which Udhayanidhi Stalin is so opposed to, right? The whole reservation precipice or the
Absolutely,
principle
you're right.
is because of caste. If there's no caste, why is there any need for reservation?
Absolutely. No. See, Zaka, I'll tell you. You were asking about that the BJP is supportive of reservation. BJP is not supportive of reservation. In the state of Tamil Nadu, we have 69% reservation for the OBCs. If the BJP is really for the OBCs, if it is really saying, no, we should do that, it should have implemented the 69% reservation 10 years where they are in power. They should have done that across the country. They did not do that. They opposed it. That apart, 27% reservation for OBCs in the All India medical quota seats. Who bought that? DMK fought for that. We got an High Court order. The BJP opposed it. We have to file a contempt petition. Even then they did not allow it. They went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ordered it. Just a moment. Even now the BJP opposes that. So
please respond to what Saravanan is saying.
OBCs.
He is saying that Tamil Nadu is the only state which has breached the 50% cap. If BJP was serious about reservation, you should have brought a law in Parliament and put it in the 9th schedule saying that reservation will be above the 50%. In fact, the question he is also asking is, he hasn't asked, but many opposition leaders are asking is, why is the BJP then so opposed to the caste census in your state, Ajay Alok Saab?
Yes.
First of all, he's trying to take caste as an umbrella just to defend himself from what the comments made by Sanatan. And second thing, you are talking to a person who is the Prime Minister of this country and he's from the most backward class. Don't forget that. He operates in the mind with mandal and he has kamandal in his heart. Dimag mein mandal hai, dil mein kamandal hai. So better you don't try and play all these tricks on us. You guys are such shameful guys. The people of Tamil Nadu are going to teach you a lesson who are 85% of the population, where you said that Dalits are there. When Dalit also won't be there, when Sanatan is not there, where the Dalit will come from, where the OBC will come from? Do you have any respect of yourself being a Hindu? Do you respect yourself? If you respect yourself, just grow above politics. These are the statements not to be given by the leaders.
BJP.
Just to polarize votes. You are in power just because of the minority votes. You are in power just because of the minority votes.
One at a time.
Whole Tamil Nadu knows this.
Please yield.
Whole Tamil Nadu
Only Ajay Alok. Yeah, Ajay Alok.
No, he's getting rattled, so he's taking all the kind of levy. Sometimes he goes to reservation, sometimes he goes to caste, but he's not mentioning about Sanatan Dharma. He doesn't know, he doesn't understand what is Sanatan. He does. But these statements were made with an intention just to polarize minority votes in Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
As rightly said by Sumant, that yes, the main difference of power between AIDMK and DMK alliance was minority votes. And they are consolidating it in every state. They want to do it in UP, Maharashtra, West Bengal, Jharkhand. That's why the statement from RJD leader. But what kind of a poisonous mind they have? And all the grand strategy being played by the Congress itself, where Sonia Gandhi is quiet, Rahul Gandhi is visiting Europe, and Priyanka Gandhi keeping quiet. Now, where is that Brahman Hindu? Where is that Shiv Bhakt? Where is that Janudhari Hindu? Because all the Gandhi Parivar currently, they are not Hindus themselves. So, they are not bothered. Let the Sanatan go to hell. But this is not going to happen in this country. Every Sanatani will fight you out. And Samul Nash hoga inka. DMK is going to be routed.
Okay.
Mark my words.
Dushyant Sridhar and then Sumant Raman, I'll close with that. Dushyant, again, I don't want you to get into the politics. You're not a political person, but one second, Saranan, please. Saranan, 1 second, please. Dushyant, the point is that, for the supporters of the DMK, the supporters of Udhayanidhi Stalin, whether he used the word Sanatan or what he meant was actually caste system, they will view it as an affirmation that caste exists, caste discrimination exists, and the DMK wants to be seen as speaking on behalf of those who have been oppressed because of the caste system. Now, my point is that a reality that Sanatan Dharma can afford to ignore? Especially at a time when no less than Mohan Bhagwat himself is saying that this is a problem and this needs to be dealt with. Until this problem goes away, you need reservation.
Okay. Zaka, at two levels. One, Sanatana Dharma is equal to Varnashrama Dharma was a statement. their assumption is Sanatana Dharma is equal to Varnashrama Dharma, so we oppose Sanatana Dharma. And there was another statement made, let's go by the sequence, one more statement made which said that Sanatana Dharma is different and Hinduism is different, if you recall the conversation we just had now.
Yeah.
In that case, in the same summit where it was spoken, where Shri Udhayanidhi Stalin spoke, prior to him the ideologue of Dravida Kazhagam, Veeramani, spoke and said, it is very clear, he said, Hinduism is replaceable with Sanatana Dharma. So he says, he tells his audience, do not get confused, Hinduism is Sanatana Dharma. Just few minutes after Veeramani's speech comes Shri Udhayanidhi Stalin's speech, who says that Sanatana Dharma should be eradicated. So now you revisit the thing where they say that Hinduism and Sanatana Dharma are different. They cannot go, this is an academic debate, you cannot go in and around, one. And second thing you said, can we take away Varnashrama and the discrimination which is associated with it? Please remember, Zaka, any religion in this world, whether it's organized or unorganized, will have some regressive practices. And we have to fight it tooth and nail. And there was no better person than Bhagavad Ramanujacharya, who was born in the same Tamil Nadu 1000 years before, who fought for the equality of all castes. He never said that all of them should get destroyed, they should be eradicated. Rather, he brought all the castes together. He called the Dalits and the Shudras as Tirukkulattar. They are the children of God. And every community was given its due importance. So if a person wishes...
Dr. Kalaignar, our leader Dr. Kalaignar produced Ramanuja Kavya. Why?
Okay,
because he opposed caste system.
Okay, got it, got it. Okay, I'm completely running out of time. I need to give Sumant the final word. Sumant, 30 seconds. I'm really sorry about this, but Sumant, again, with Sumant, I'm just concerned about the political fallout of this. And already people are saying the DMK will benefit, and we've seen Tamil Nadu elections, you know, they tend to sort of vote overwhelmingly in one direction or the other, sometimes for ADMK, sometimes for DMK. The point is, who may this benefit? Forget about what impact it will have outside of Tamil Nadu, but in Tamil Nadu, how may this story play out and which political formation may this benefit?
In Tamil Nadu, it won't have a major impact, but if at all there is going to be some impact, it will consolidate the DMK vote bank. So therefore, on that there is no doubt. But Zaka, the point is, if somebody is denied entry to the temple, you say that you should fight and allow that person to enter the temple. You will not say demolish the temple. So I think that this is the entire approach that has been completely wrongly sort of projected by them. And the reason they are doubling down, believe me, Zaka, I have followed this party for a long time. I am very curious. They will not double down knowing the embarrassment it is causing without some reason. This story is not over yet. There is something we don't know as yet.
Okay, all right. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for this fascinating conversation. Saravanan, Dushyant Sridhar, Ajay Alok and Sumant C. Raman. Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen. In fact, just ahead of the G20 summit, the big G20 summit, which India is hosting, that's going to happen over the weekend. I had an exclusive chat with political scientist and one of the top-notch foreign policy minds in the world, Professor John Mearsheimer of the Politics Department of the University of Chicago, on what we can expect from India's presidency of the G20. It's become a people's presidency, going across 60 cities, 200 meetings of the G20. But it also comes at a time when the world is extremely divided between Russia and China on the one side, the United States and its Western allies on the other. Is a joint statement at all possible? What are the realistic expectations of India's G20 summit that is coming up over the next few days? This is an exclusive here on CNN News 18 with Professor John Mearsheimer. All right, so all eyes on India's presidency of the G20. The country is pulling out all stops to make sure that this is a memorable one and perhaps even a historic one if they're able to eke out a joint statement that is, yes, Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin will not be in the room when the leaders of the 20 most powerful economies of the world will be meeting, but will that be a dampener or will India be able to bring all parties together? Joining me now on what we can expect over the next few days as India hosts this jamboree of some of the most powerful men and women on the planet is Professor John Mearsheimer. He's the head of Department of Politics at the University of Chicago. Thank you very much, Professor Mearsheimer, for speaking with us. So India has had, in the run-up to this big summit this weekend, 200 meetings across 60 cities, all connected to the G20. in effect making it some kind of a people's presidency of the G20. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi had written a blog today saying how they've expanded this just from the capital city to the length and breadth of this country. Have you seen anything like this in the 20 odd years that the G20 has been in existence? And how do you read the way the country has sort of democratized this summit itself, this summit which is supposed to be that of an elite grouping of some of the most powerful people on the planet, has been democratized and taken to the people?
Well, I think that inside of India, that's a matter that's paid much attention. But outside of India, I don't think people are focusing on the democratizing of the G20. I think what people are focusing on is how badly fractured the G20 is and how deep the economic and political divisions are. And I think for that reason, this G20 meeting will attract an enormous amount of attention, and it will bring a lot of attention to India. But it's that divisiveness that we see at play here that's what really matters for focusing attention on the G20.
Tell us a little bit more about that divisiveness, because since the G20 was formed, I mean, informally you had the first meeting in 1999, but that was at the level of finance ministers, central bank governors. This was on the back of the Asian financial crisis. It really sort of took off after 2008, after the global financial crisis, when they started meeting at the level of heads of state or heads of government. Then the sense was multilateralism is the way to go. That's the way to deal with the complex challenges that the world faces. But now, are you suggesting that the multilateralism of the last 10, 15 years is pretty much dead?
Well, dead is too strong a word, but it's on life support for sure. I mean, what's happened here is that in those early years that you were just describing, we lived in the unipolar moment. The United States was the dominant country on the planet, and it played a key role in establishing this liberal international order which the G20 fit into. But what happened right around 2017, 2018 is that the world moved away from unipolarity into multipolarity. And once you go into a multipolar world, that liberal international order is going to begin to crack. And then what happened in particular is that the US-China rivalry really heated up. And then in 2022, we got the Ukraine war, which has further exacerbated the tensions inside the G20 and more generally inside the international order. So you now have a very contentious institution in terms of the G20, which is very different than what you had in the unipolar moment.
We do know, you did mention about China, you did mention about Russia, and we know that the leaders of both Russia and China, Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, will not be coming for the Delhi G20. It may be coincidental, it may be for different reasons, but do you see some kind of an acting in concert by both Beijing and Moscow in a way to send a message, if not to India, the host, but certainly to the United States and to its Western partners who seem to be dominating the G20?
I don't think that the Chinese and the Russians were acting together here, that they coordinated their decisions not to attend. I think they had independent reasons for not being present for the G20 meeting. And I don't think that what the Russians and the Chinese have done by not coming to India is directed at India at all. I think it's directed at the United States. As everybody knows, there is a huge amount of animosity towards the United States outside of the West, and that includes China and Russia. And in countries like India, you see this animosity as well. And that includes, again, countries like South Africa. So there's a lot of animosity towards the United States, and that's what contributes to this divisiveness that you'll see at the G20 conference.
Because of the Ukraine war, there was huge difficulty in trying to agree to the language of a common text, a joint statement, if you will, even in the last G20 in Bali in Indonesia, but somehow they were able to thrash one out. Because both the leaders of Russia and China are absent this time in the Delhi G20, how much more difficult would it be to A, thrash out a joint statement, and if they cannot at the end of it, would that then necessarily deem the Delhi leg of the G20 as not successful?
Well, I think that no matter who is there to represent Russia or China, that person is not going to agree to any language that Russia or China views as hostile. So in terms of crafting language, I don't think it matters whether Putin or Xi Jinping are there. And the fact is that just like you had trouble crafting language in Indonesia, you're going to have trouble crafting language again. The United States and Russia are at odds, deep odds, on how to deal with Ukraine, how to think about Ukraine, how to talk about Ukraine. So getting them to agree on any common language is almost impossible. And the Chinese are at loggerheads with the United States as well, and they're backing the Russians. So I think that India is not going to succeed in pushing the G20 to produce some sort of meaningful language about the Ukraine crisis. But that's not India's fault. It's just a fact of life, given the Ukraine war and given where U.S.-Russian and U.S.-Chinese relations are at today.
So in this emerging great power competition between the United States and its Western allies on the one side, and then Russia and China on the other, what is the role of third-party countries like India, which may not necessarily want to pick a side in this? We saw the recent BRICS summit where, for example, a large number of countries were invited to be part of BRICS. It is becoming some kind of a voice of the global south, if you will. What's the elbow room that some of these countries, India included, have in this great power competition, which I guess is going to define our times for the foreseeable future?
I think that's true for sure. I think India is in a good situation. I wouldn't say it's a wonderful situation, but I think it's in a good situation. I mean, let's talk first about the economic dimension, then the political dimension. I think economically that India benefits from the present situation because the Russians are in a situation where they have no choice but to sell oil to countries like India at a very low price. So this is good for India economically. Politically, the United States, of course, has put pressure on India to join the West against Russia. The Indians have wisely rejected that pressure from the United States, and it's not caused India any problems. So India is sort of walking a fine line between Russia on one side and the United States on the other side. And then with regard to India's relations with China, this is a very complicated matter, as I don't have to tell an Indian audience. But the fact is that the Chinese and the Indians have been pushed together in important ways as a result of the Ukraine crisis and as a result of America's heavy-handed policies. But at the same time, there is this huge potential for trouble involving the India-China border, and that's not going to go away. So India-China relations are not going to be good forever. But at the moment, they're looking quite good. And so I think India is in a sweet spot at this point in time.
So I want to go back to something you said earlier about how you believe multilateralism may not be dead, but it certainly is on life support. To deal with some of the biggest challenges that we are as a people, as humanity are facing, whether it's climate change, whether it's global financial stability, whether it is dealing with inflation and runaway prices and this cost of living crisis, you need, the biggest countries of the world to be able to agree on a common method and a common approach. If that is fundamentally broken between the West on the one side and Russia, China on the other, how are we going to fix these big problems?
Well, the answer is you're not going to do a very good job fixing them. And the fact is that when you have great powers that have common interests. And I think what you're saying is that the great powers on the planet, in fact, every country on the planet, has a common interest in, for example, dealing with the environmental crisis. But the problem that you face here is that when the dominant states in the system, the great powers, are involved in an intense security competition and are even involved in a war, and I think basically you have a war going on between the United States and Russia in Ukraine. In those circumstances, it's very hard to get the great powers to cooperate on those issue areas where they have common interests. So getting the United States, Russia, and China to cooperate on climate change, to get them to continue cooperating on nuclear proliferation, is going to be very difficult in the years ahead, because that security competition, that intense security competition in this multipolar world between those countries overshadows the incentives that they have for cooperation. All of this is a way of saying we're in big trouble.
So Prime Minister Modi, in one of the meetings that happened last year, had told Russian President Vladimir Putin that this is not the era of war, it's the era of peace, and that, of course, drew him a lot of global applause. Do you believe that India, as a neutral third-party country, could be in a position to try and see if the warring parties, in this case Ukraine and Russia, are able to come to some kind of an understanding? What is your best assessment of where the war stands right now and how it's likely to end?
Well, let me just say about India that I think India, because it has good relations with Russia and has good relations with the United States, is in a very important way well situated to negotiate some sort of settlement over Ukraine if there is a potential settlement or peace agreement available. And the fact is, there is no potential peace agreement between the two sides. So India is not going to be in a position where it can do anything, even though, again, it has good relations with the two warring parties here. There's just no agreement on the table, which leads me into your other question, which is, where is this one headed? I think this one is showing no signs of coming to an end anytime soon. And I think, if anything, the war will go on for 1, 2, maybe even 3 more years. And when it ends, I think the Russians will have won. They will not have won a decisive victory, but they will have won a limited victory, or what I like to call an ugly victory. And what you'll get is a frozen conflict. You're not going to get any meaningful peace agreement, as I said earlier. You'll get a frozen conflict, and it'll be a constant danger that that frozen conflict will once again escalate into a hot war. So we are in deep trouble on the Ukraine front for as far as the eye can see.
And finally, as India gets itself ready to host the most powerful men and women on the planet, the heads of the 20 most powerful economies, what will be your one benchmark or yardstick that you will be looking out for? Because if it crosses that yardstick or benchmark, then India would have done a good job of successfully hosting a G20.
Well, I think that the best that India can hope for is to make sure that the discourse at the G20 summit is civil, and that people, in effect, talk about the issues on the table in an intelligent way. It would not be good if there was some sort of outburst or some sort of conflict between 2 or 3 of the important parties at the G20 meeting. But there's, in my opinion, really no hope of making any meaningful progress and solving the big issues of the day at this G20 meeting. And it has nothing to do with India. It just has to do with the fact that there are powerful structural forces at play at this point in time that make it almost impossible for any country, India included, to push the world in a meaningful way towards a more peaceful environment, or to get more cooperation on things like climate control.
All right, Professor John Mearsheimer, as always, a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us ahead of this special occasion of India's hosting of the G20 summit.
My pleasure.
Well, the stage is set for the G20 Leaders Summit. Representatives of the world's biggest economies will gather in New Delhi this weekend for a crucial meeting. It will also be the last big chance for the G20 nations responsible for 80% of the world's emissions to send a strong message on climate action before they meet at COP28 in Dubai. 2023 has been the hottest year on record, and climate disasters have intensified across the world. There's an increasing pressure on these G20 nations comprising of the US, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia and India to reach an ambitious climate deal. India under Prime Minister Narendra Modi has already submitted its revised climate action plan. There's a net zero target of 2070 and commitment to achieve 50% cumulative electric power install capacity from non-fossil fuels by 2030. It is now trying to get countries to agree to phase down of all fossil fuels, not just coal. Despite the Indian presidency's efforts, the G20 climate ministerial talks in July failed to agree on a roadmap to phase down fossil fuels or the point that emissions must peak by 2025. But as India enters the last leg of its presidency, it will look to achieve some agreement on G20, one of the most high-profile geopolitical assemblies. Officials say that the climate change will feature in a packed agenda, but how much of it will make to the leaders' declaration remains to be seen. Prime Minister Modi has strongly batted for India's leadership in the Global South, highlighting how climate change is a shared reality and that the Global South would be affected disproportionately. In an interview to Money Control earlier this week, he said that member nations should come together and focus on positive actions to combat climate change instead of dwelling on restrictions, criticism and blame. So what are the 5 key points to watch out for? First, climate finance. As UN Climate Chief Simon Stale says, finance is everything. The G20 has an opportunity to flex its financial muscle to move trillions in investment required to support developing countries in their energy transition. Experts say it will be worrisome if there is no real and meaningful progress made on finance at the G20. When countries sign on to a deal, it is the strongest signal for the markets to move in that direction. Second, the target to triple renewable energy goal by 2030. The upcoming COP28 agenda is focused on pushing major economies to target deals on tripling renewables by 2030 and raising new levels of climate finance. But the renewable energy goal can only become a success if it comes with a financial package to ensure it can be achieved by the developing nations. The G20 can offer that support if it commits to an ambitious deal. Third, fossil fuel phase down and removal of fossil fuel subsidies. India is leading a push to get countries to agree to a fossil fuel phase down, not just coal. However, there are pushbacks by countries like Saudi Arabia. Member nations have also expressed reservations regarding the definition of abatement. China is said to be negotiating to delete reference to the 2009 G20 commitment to phase out inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. Despite G20 being home to 93% of the world's operating coal capacity, coal has been largely absent from the talks so far. It was in fact the elephant in the room. Experts have urged G20 leaders to set a clear timeline to end public support for fossil fuels. Experts say that the absence of any such commitment in the final leaders' statement may lead to backsliding on coal phase down that was agreed upon in the Bali summit last year. India has already demonstrated its leadership with bold and ambitious climate targets. It now has a unique opportunity to influence other G20 nations to advance a sustainable, just, inclusive and clear energy transition. The Indian presidency must aim to get the world back on track to limit global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius as promised by countries under the Paris Agreement.
Much like the other departments of the Indian government, this time around the IMD is also preparing itself to give out real-time updates about the weather that is going to encompass the national capital over the next 3 to 4 days. This is going to be very, very crucial, and keeping that in mind, several new machines have been placed in important locations, especially at locations such as Bharat Mandapam and New Delhi railway station and at the IGI airport, so that real-time developments could be told to the delegates who would be traveling to the national capital to attend this massive G20 summit. Currently, I am standing inside the IMD control room, where if I could just show you in the visuals over here, this is one of the systems that will continuously update about the weather updates that would be coming in. In every 15 minutes, the updates would be uploaded on the website, from where it would be then given to all the delegates who would be traveling to the national capital. This is the control room that has actually been set up, monitoring each and every movement. At least 10 locations in the national capital have already been handpicked by the IMD, in which they are making sure that all the analysis is done in real time, and the results of those analysis is also given in real time to the people who would be traveling out here to the national capital. To talk more on this, I am being joined by Dr. Charan Singh. Sir, what are the preparations? क्या तैयारियां की हैं सर आप लोगों ने इस बार G20 को मद्देनजर रखते हुए?
G20 की फोरकास्ट देने के लिए NCR दिल्ली में स्पेशल 10 लोकेशन को आइडेंटिफाई किया गया है, और वहीं पर हमारे ऑटोमेटिक वेदर स्टेशन है, जिनकी सूचना हमको हर 15 मिनट में अपडेट हो रही है। और इस हेडक्वार्टर से आज जो आप देख रहे हैं दिल्ली NCR के लिए और 10 लोकेशन के लिए इंक्लूडिंग भारत मंडपम हर 3 घंटे में हमारी नावकास्ट अपडेट हो रही है, जो 11 तारीख के जारी रहेगी। और ख़ास तौर से जो फोरकास्ट है, ये हमारा IMD का जो पेज देख रहे हैं, इस पे हर 15 मिनट में जो ऑब्जर्वेशन है वो अपडेट होंगी। हर 3 घंटे पर आपको जो नावकास्ट है वो मिलेगी 11 तारीख तक के लिए। और ये हमारी फोरकास्ट ट्विटर और फेसबुक पे भी अवेलेबल होगी। तो जैसे ये देख रहे हैं कि इस तरह का हमने अरेंजमेंट किया हुआ है। ये देखिए, ये हमारा वेब पेज डेवलप किया गया है। यहाँ देख रहे हैं लेफ्ट में, ये हर
Hello, Namaskar. This is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. Delhi is all decked up for the G20 summit. The security is in place. Leaders have begun arriving. Last-minute political maneuver